Thank you for staying with us. Property worth 1 million shillings was destroyed after a fire broke out in a dormitory which houses 200 students in Oinobmoi High School, Baringo County. The students were forced to spend the night in the cold following the fire. The school's principal, Kipruto Tarus, said the teachers were in class when they heard an explosion. The principal expressed relief that no one was injured in the incident. The area member of the County Assembly, Joanna Cheboy, appealed to the government and well-wishers to help put up another dormitory to house the students as they prepare for their end-of-term exams.
Some teachers were in classes teaching the remedials at around 8:20. Then we had some screams and calls from the watchman that was down this side of the dome, and then we saw a huge fire billowing from the other dome.
It is unfortunate because we lost everything inside, including the boxes, the mattresses, and all belongings of the students.
Right, and earlier in this bulletin, I had been speaking to Kendago Obadia, who is at the Orange House, where a 5-member team is investigating the botched ODM National Delegates Convention. Let's now cross right over to the Orange House, where Kendago Obadia is standing by. Kendago, as you prepare to do your interview there, perhaps one of the issues that I would like to know is whether the probe team intends to summon rather who the probe team intends to summon in the probe to determine who was responsible for bungling the elections, of course, among the prominent party bigwigs, and who else you might be aware that they intend to summon. Over to you.
Well, thanks again, Lillian. We are right here at the Orange House, as I had indicated earlier on to you, that the task force that has been put in place to investigate circumstances surrounding the botched ODM elections that happened on the 28th of February. And they have commenced their investigations, and they have said they will be receiving information from members of the public, and they also have their own strategies on how to get into the root cause of that particular incident, unfortunate as it may have been. And right here with me, of course, is the chairman of the task force, Jordan Nyukuri, right here with me to perhaps shed some light on what exactly he intends to do. And maybe, Nyukuri, you will, maybe it would be good for you to begin with us, tell us exactly what you have begun with, because you've just said you are beginning investigations.
Thank you very much. We have started looking in pursuit of the terms of reference we were given. We have done preparatory work. We know which way to take, but given the nature of the assignment, it will not be proper for us to give the details of our approach and the functioning, because we have to defend the integrity of this forum. But we are sure that the way we have put the work plan, we shall unravel.
Yes, you talk about you will be able to unravel this, but someone would ask, this is entirely an investigative issue, and the police should have been better placed to carry out investigations in the incidences of the 28th of February, because they are criminal in nature. Why do you think your task force is better placed to do this?
Yeah, that is a good question, because maybe people don't know the difference of our task and the police task. Policemen, their extent of duty is to identify the culprit and put him at the disposal for punishment. Ours go beyond that, because it involves putting down corrective measures. So police could not be adequate for this. But this does not replace police work. Police can still do their work.
You've indicated that you will be receiving information from members of the public right here at Orange House. And I'm just wondering, this was entirely an ODM issue, and the people who are allowed into the conference at Kasarani were only ODM delegates. So I'm only wondering, why would it involve members of the public and not just members of ODM who are present at Kasarani?
When you are looking at the background of the information, you involve the environment. You cannot say that we were in isolation. You don't know who else joined us. You don't know who else did what. Even within, we don't know who did what. So our net is wide. We want to get a proper background, because the purpose of this task force is to get a solution and recommend remedy and avoid similar occurrences in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the other question I would like to ask you is, you have said you have put in place preparatory measures to kick off, to kickstart your investigations.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if you have people in mind that you would be summoning to appear before your task force.
It will be prejudicial for me now to mention their names this time, because we have a very elaborate, part of the strategy is a good method of approaching them. This will already be a bad method if I mention them here.
But are we looking at people, high-profile people in ODM, like people who hold key positions in ODM? Are you looking at also, because candidates will be obvious if we mention them, but what kind of people are you looking at without really mentioning their names?
It will be sufficient for us to say here that we are out to investigate everything and everybody, because we are looking for information. So we don't want to limit ourselves to anybody or to any group. We are investigating everything and everybody.
There is information already circulating in a section of the media that the party leader Raila Odinga may have mentioned somewhere. We understand that he is on an official trip for the party outside the country, and that to the effect that those who were involved in it, and to be very specific, the men in black are members of the party. What would that do to your investigations?
According to us, that is a contribution to the rumor bench, because we don't know. So we have had a lot of rumors flying. We have even heard the people from the press saying that this thing is already obvious. We are very happy that anybody with such information should come to give us in the appropriate forum. Then we digest it.
Finally, when will we know the culprits, for those who participated and those who planned?
When we give the report.
When will this be?
Within a month, within 30 days.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nyukuri. We wish you well in your investigations, and we hope that Kenyans will finally appreciate what you're doing, and that they will come to appreciate and know who exactly was behind the skirmishes that took place at Kasarani Gymnasium during the party election. Well, Lillian, that's the much we can get from Mr. Nyukuri, who is now commencing investigations. We hope that at the end of 30 days, he'll be able to present a report that will finally give us the details of those who participated in that unlawful act for the Orange Party on the 28th of February. Back to you, Lillian, at the Communication Center.
Right, Kendago, and before I let you go, just two areas of interest for me. I wanted to ask you on the timing of this particular probe sessions while the party leader is out of the country. We know that he is out of the country. And number two, I also wanted to ask what you know on the fact that it has been indicated that there was an excess of delegates, actually the number being put at about 1,500 non-delegates instead of the constitutionally allowed number. So perhaps on these two issues, if you could update us on whether you know what the status is on these two matters.
Well, I may want you to repeat your last question, but then let me just first of all deal with the first question. The party leader Raila Odinga gave us a brief before he left the country that he will be going on a holiday, and he is also expected to attend some meetings in the US, and that is the much that the party knows, and that the party is not in vacuum. According to the Orange Secretariat, they are saying the party leader left responsibility to Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, and that he is capable to hold brief for the party leader until when he comes back. That is the much we could get from the Orange House. Probably if you could come up again with your last question, Lillian.
Kendago, and the second question was on the excess of the delegates, more than 1,500 delegates at the NDC instead of the constitutionally allowed number, which is, I believe, about 2,800 delegates.
Well, that would be a question to the Secretariat. And I asked Mr. Nyukuri about it, but he says that is part of the investigations they are putting in place as to whether we had excess number of delegates on that particular day or not. But he says that there could have been people who sneaked into Kasarani on that particular day, and that is what they're trying to investigate, because we know that there were supposed to be 2,800 delegates who would participate in the actual voting, but also there were about 100 invited guests and 100 election observers. And so there might have been some kind of laxity in terms of manning the gates, and that is what he says he is going to investigate. But perhaps because he is here, I would just throw that question quickly to Mr. Nyukuri and say, Nyukuri, there could have been excess number of delegates attending this ODM function on the 28th. Was it because of the list? Because we had complaints of people who are not in the list and appear there, and we also understand that those who participate in the skirmishes may not have been delegates. What is your take on that?
My take is that I would hesitate to anticipate anything that prejudices the report that comes. It is a matter that we have taken into account for investigation. And fine. We may dismiss it, or we may confirm it. And the details of it will come at the right time.
All right, there you have it, Lillian. As I told you, his job is really to investigate, and those are part of the pieces of information that would be pieced together to form that particular final report that will help the party understand what really transpired at Kasarani on the 28th of February. Back to you, Lillian.
Right, thank you very much, Kendago. Kendago Obadia coming to us live from the Orange House as a 5-member team continues on the probe on the botched ODM National Delegates Convention. Of course, this being a developing story, we will keep you updated in subsequent bulletins. Now, police in Mombasa arrested 2 Somali nationals last evening suspected to be dangerous members of the Al-Qaeda network who were planning to carry out massive terror activities in the coast region. The 2 suspects were found to be in possession of 2 explosives fitted in a Toyota Hilux whose chassis and registration numbers do not match. And as Kibemboro reports, the bomb experts are still waiting for a court order before they detonate the explosives. And the wage bill debate continues to elicit mixed reactions across the country. But for one young man, a graduate from Kenyatta University, who after close to 1.5 years of looking for a white-collar job, opted for making charcoal. However, it is not just ordinary charcoal, but an environmentally friendly type. Alex Kubasu gives us that inspiring story.
Meet George Mochu, a graduate from Kenyatta University as well as the Kenya Institute of Management, a young man who's earned his stripes in the academic world but in some different environment here. This is where he makes all the difference in his life after the long wait.
Nikaona hii biashara inaweza faulu kwa sababu kwa upande wa kwanza nitaweza kusaidia wananchi waache kukata miti, na upande wa pili nitaweza encourage watu watumie modern charcoal lenye ni more efficient, it's carbon free na more economical.
It is an innovative and environment-friendly charcoal briquettes manufacturing area in Narok, where George Mochu, after acquiring a loan of 150,000 Kenya shillings, set up this place and has so far employed 2 people. His customers are as well a contented lot.
Hii makaa iko poa sana. Ina last for long, inaweza kaa 3 to 4 hours to 5 hours. Compared na hiyo ingine, hizo zingine zinaisha haraka. Sasa inanisaidia sana, siwezi endea makaa, siwezi venye niko na mtoto hivi, sasa siwezi enda kila saa kununua makaa kwa duka.
George is 26 years old and he loves what he does regardless of his academic qualifications. Alex Kubasu for Citizen Live at 1.
And Kiambu County government has reduced by 10,000 the amount charged to private schools as annual levy. The move comes after private school owners in the county protested the previous amount of 45,000 shillings as contained in the county's Finance Act. Diana Karaoke brings us that story.
Angry owners and stakeholders of private schools from parts of Kiambu County took to the streets to demonstrate their displeasure at the hiked license fee, which had gone up from 25,500 shillings to 45,000 shillings. But even that was not enough. To drive the point home, the demonstrators from Ruiru, Thika and Juja, led by their chairperson Harriet Mbutula, stormed into the Kiambu governor's office in Thika, demanding audience with the governor over the issue which they claimed was a burden too heavy to bear.
Because as maybe you are aware, the deadline is at the end of this month, and now it is only a week to go, and we cannot be able to raise that money. It's quite a lot of money.
Efforts to calm the situation were not altogether fruitful.
Let us sit down and agree and discuss, because a solution is not found through heckling, finding youths to come and disrupt private businesses of people, private properties.
But calm prevailed when the issue was finally resolved and the good news announced. The levies would be reduced by 10,000 shillings.
Okay, this is just one of the initiatives that we have done to the private schools, ensuring that their fee, their increment is actually minimal. But the education sector has aligned quite a number of initiatives aimed at improving the standards for education in Kiambu County.
County Finance Executive Mary Nguli added that a gazette notice will be out by next week to the effect and that other levies will not be raised even in the next financial year. Diana Karaoke, live at 1.
And over 100 demonstrators gathered outside a government building in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv last night. The protesters have been angered by what they perceive to be the rather passive posture taken by the Ukrainian interim government following the Russian takeover of Crimea.
Get ready to go cheer at the